Hello guys and welcome to our math lesson. I hope you've had a wonderful half term and now we're going to be starting our new topic, which is fractions, and our first lesson is unit and non-unit fractions. Now this is something that we might have done in year 3 when you were with Mrs. Wiles, so this is just a bit of a recap lesson, but for those who cannot remember fractions, it will just refresh your memory on what fractions are. So let's get ready. So as always, we're going to have our starter questions. So our first question is, how many cubes are all together? And then how many are green cubes? And I want you to answer this word question here. So something out of something cubes are green. And then our second question, the same, how many cubes are all together? And then how many are red cubes? And then once again, fill in the blanks of our word question. So pause the video and give these a go. Right then, question 1. So how many cubes are there all together? Well, I know that there are, so if I just count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there are 5 cubes altogether. And the question says, how many are green cubes? Well, I know that there's 1 green cube, and the rest are all yellow. So there is 1 green cube. So then I know that there is 1 out of 5 of the cubes are green. Next, how many cubes are there altogether? Well, if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there are 7 cubes altogether. How many are red? I can see 3. So therefore, 3 out of 7 cubes are red. Super. Now let's get into a bulk of our lesson. So here we have got a representation. I've got 1 triangle and I've got 3 circles. Well, firstly, the bottom of our fraction is called the denominator. Now the denominator is how many equal parts are there. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts, because you can see we've got 4 representations. So I'm going to put the 4 at the bottom. Then in my top, I have got the numerator. And the numerator is how many parts we are looking at. And well, it says here in my question, how many of the shapes are triangles? Well, I've got 1 triangle, so I put 1. So I've got 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4. A quarter of the shapes are triangles. So now I've got a different one. So remember, my denominator is how many equal parts there are, and then my numerator is how many parts that we are looking at. So pause the video and have a think and have a go at this one. Okay, so let's see. So firstly, my denominator. How many equal parts are there? Well, I can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I put 5 as my denominator. And then my numerator is how many parts we're looking at. It says how many of the shapes are green. So there is just 1. So 1 out of 5, or 1/5 of the shapes are green. Just like that. Now, what is the same about these? So I've got 1/4 and 1/5. What is the same and what is different? Pause the video and have a think. Okay, so let's see. What is the same and what's different? Well, what's the same is my numerators are both 1. So these are called unit fractions. So when my numerator is just 1, that's what it's called. Unit fractions have a numerator of 1. So now we've got another problem here. So remember, my denominator is how many there are, and my numerator is how many specifically there is. Pause the video and have a go at filling out how many yellows, how many reds, and how many greens in part of our fractions. Okay, well, let's see. So firstly, yellow. So I'm going to look at my denominator straight away. So my denominator, I just count up however many there are, no matter what colour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I know that there's 1 yellow, so it's 1 out of 9. Next, in the red, again, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And with the red, I've got 1, 2, 3. So the answer would be 3 out of 9. And well, again, my denominator has been 9 all the time, so I'm going to put my 9 as my denominator again, but this time green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 9. Nice and easy. So now, which is a unit fraction? So just like we said on the last slide, a unit fraction was a numerator of 1. Can you find out which is the unit fraction? Pause the video and have a think. Well, let's find out which is the unit fraction. Well, just as I said, the numerator must be a 1. So the yellow is a unit fraction. But now these two have got a numerator of more than 1. So what do we call these ones? Well, these fractions have a numerator greater than 1, and these are called non-unit fractions. So if my numerator is 1, it's a unit fraction. If it is more than 1, it is a non-unit fraction. Now guys, pause the video and have a go at the questions 1 to 3 on your worksheet. Okay, let's get on with our lesson. So now I've got my representations, and it says show a quarter of each of the representations. So remember, my denominator is how many there are, and my numerator is specifically just one of them. So pause the video and have a think. You might even want to draw these out and shade in one of the quarters of each of the representations. Okay, so let's see. So I know that my denominator is 1, 2, 3, 4, and I just want to get one of these, so I could shade this one in. I might shade that one, or that one. As long as only one of them are shading, then I'm correct. My next one, again, I've got my 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, so I'm going to shade one. I could shade this one, or that one. And then finally, I could shade this one, that one, or that one. Super. So that is, I have shaded in 1/4 of each of the representations. And these are all unit fractions. So now, can you show me 3/4 on each of the representations? You might want to draw these again and shade in 3/4. Pause the video and give it a go. Okay then, let's see, so 3/4. Well, I know that 1/4 is just one of them, so really all I need to do is shade in 3 of them. Just like so. On my next one, just like so. And on my next one, just like so. Remember, you might have shaded in some different ones, but as long as you have only shaded in 3 out of the 4, you've got the correct answer. And remember, these ones now, because I've got a numerator greater than 1, these are called non-unit fractions. Okay, so now it says show 3/4 on each of the representations. So here I've got 3/4 shaded in, nice and easily, but now we've got 8 circles over here. So that is a bit different to our denominator. So now to make things easier, I am going to put these into rows of 4. Because I've got my 4 as my denominator, just like so. And now I'm going to circle 4 separate groups. And I can see they've already been done for me. So I've got 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, and 4 groups. And now this makes it much easier for me to circle 3 of the 4 groups, because I've got 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups, and I can just circle. I can now shade in 3 of the 4. Just like so. So I've got 3, and I can shade them in just like that. So now let's have a look at a word problem. This says, I'm thinking of a fraction, and I've got my digit cards 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And it says my fraction has a numerator 3 less than the denominator. And this person says over here, well, mine is a unit fraction with an odd number as a denominator. So have a go and maybe some process of elimination and use these digit cards. I only want you to use 4. And the one that is left, I want you just to place it there and to see which one is left. Pause the video, guys, and have a think about that. Okay. So straight away I'm looking over here and I know, well, that a unit fraction means that it must have my numerator as a 1. So straight away I'm going to put my 1 down there. Next, I'm then looking at the other side. So my fraction has a numerator 3 less than the denominator. And well, the only digit cards up here that have a difference of 3 are 2 and 5. So my smaller number, because my numerator is 3 less, that means that my 2 must go at the top as my numerator, and my denominator, because it must be 3 more than my numerator, must be 5. And then over here, my next piece of information says an odd number. Well, my odd number out of 3 and 4, it must be 3. So my 3 goes as my denominator, and that means that my digit card 4 will be left. So guys, have a go at the rest of the worksheet. That is the end of our maths video. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.